afternoon and welcome to DeLorean Artificial Intelligence video blog. My name is Dr. Severance McLaughlin and I am the managing partner for DeLorean AI. And today's topic, we'd like to discuss customer relationships management systems. A little bit about their history and have they hit a wall of diminishing returns? Could artificial intelligence be the disruption in the CRM industry that we've been waiting for? Now, if you look at the diagram that we're discussing today, you see a number of different companies. Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, Salesforce, PEGA, Oracle, Customer that was just bought by Facebook, Apion, Zoho, Sugar's CRM, the list goes on and on. And if you want to go to Gartner's Magic Quadrant for 2020, you can see all of them and how they're placed. But there are plenty of CRM systems out there. My question to you and to the market right now is, what is the value that they actually are delivering? And have they hit that wall of diminishing returns? So as you can see in the diagram, what they provide currently is an unbelievable customer database, visualizations, and dashboards. But my question to the market is, what value are they continuing to provide? Where is the AI? Where is the advanced insights, the predictions, increased sales? Can these technology or these data platforms, can they generate an ROI? Can they help one more sale per point of sale or to one business customer? And for us to fully understand this, I think we need to go through the history of CRMs. So back in the 1970s and the 1980s, salespeople had the true power of the data or the sales data, right? They had their Rolodexes, they had their diaries, they had their address books, they had their, as we went into the 80s and the 90s, their handhelds and their laptops, or their desktops, if you will. And that was their book of business. And that was the value associated with the salesperson. And when you hired them or you bought them, you bought their book of business so that they could go to clients that they already had relationships and actually make those sales. And then in the mid-19 and late 1980s and the early 1990s, Tom Siebel, ex-Oracle, currently in the leadership for C3 AI, really brought together all this data in disparate places into the first database called Salesforce Automation. Okay, and that was the first initial ability for a company to digitize and get value out of this information in the form of a database. Then you move into the late 1990s and you have Salesforce and Mark Benioff and his co-founders who really changed the way sales data was not only collected but used for the benefit of the company outside of the salesperson, so they could actually have a multiplier effect here. And what they were able to do was to bring enterprise software database and bring it in a form of a software as a service, and combining that with the capabilities of the internet and visualization, they were brought to bear to the market a product that allowed companies globally to understand their clients better and understand what needs or what sales potentials were there. They had the ability to track sales leads and initiatives, centralize the customer data globally, and promote accountability through reports and dashboards and other variables of the CRM platforms. Now, the next advent of CRM and for Salesforce was the power of the cloud. The data now didn't have to be stored, or doesn't have to be stored on premise. It can be stored in the cloud remotely. And Salesforce really has brought this to a fine point, and you'll see a number of other companies in this market now that Salesforce has established it. And the market cap for 2027 is $114 billion with a B. Now, obviously that means that client companies, Fortune 500s, believe that there's so much value here they're willing to invest. And there's such a market that there's a number of companies going after it. So again, we discussed this in the beginning, besides Salesforce, there's PEGA Systems, there's Oracle, SAP, Zendesk, Microsoft Dynamics, Freshworks, Pipedrive, Customer, Sugar CRM, Zoho, and more to be named. Again, I would advise you to go look at Gartner's Magic Quadrant 2020 to look at it. But my question is, what ROI, what beneficial ROI has these newcomers come that is better than Salesforce? And what function is different? I would venture to say that there isn't a difference. There's just enough room in the market for investors to say, yes, we're willing to stake this, and you'll get a percentage of the market that SFDC doesn't have. But DeLorean would question, what's the progressive value that these CRM platforms have generated since the mid-2014 or whatnot? You know, companies have spent hundreds of millions of dollars implementing these databases and these services, but has that investment paid off? Have these companies seen an increase in sales, or a faster sale, or decrease in costs associated with the sales after this implementation? Again, DeLorean would argue that whilst there was a seismic change led by Salesforce and followed by these other CRM platforms, that there hasn't been anything that's been new and exciting, that they're just fancy databases with cool visualizations. And I know that sounds cold, and I know that sounds, you know, maybe not giving them as much credit as possible, but besides the graphs and being able to hold people accountable for data that has already been crunched weeks, but at best months beforehand, they're looking backwards versus looking forwards. How, and that's what sales is about, is how do you look forwards and predict what deal will win? Or what is the next best action that a salesperson has to do on a deal to secure that? And I don't think that these platforms have been able to do that. Now, Salesforce, I think, would actually agree with me. And in 2016, they announced Einstein, their AI persona that would help understand how does one deal move from one phase of the sales cycle to the next. But and they haven't had the ability to achieve that yet. And I know they're working extremely hard on it. But I would say, and DeLorean AI would say, that artificial intelligence is the key to actually generating real value out of the databases that all these Fortune 500 companies have invested in. And some of these companies don't use the full suite of what they've bought. For instance, at Salesforce, the Marketing Cloud, that they've bought Einstein, but they actually can't utilize it or don't know how to utilize it to generate that ROI. And so what DeLorean has focused on is how do we develop a system of intelligence, number one, to analyze their historical data, structured and unstructured data, bringing it to one place and mathematically modeling what these deals look like. And then in real time, as a new deal comes in, predicting, will that deal actually win or will it lose? And if it's going to lose, where in the sales cycle does it lose or fail? And what's the next best action to actually save that deal and move it to the next stage and or to win? So what we say is, if you look at the diagram that's currently on video, is that if we can bring in the data from these beautiful customer relationship management platforms, Salesforce, PEGA, Microsoft Dynamics, HubSpot, SAP, Pipedrive, and bring them into DeLorean's CRM AI, customer relations management, artificial intelligence, system of intelligence, we have the ability to do a number of things. Increase sales currently by our projections by 7%. Increase the number of deals in a pipeline. Deals with higher chances of winning, so you can concentrate on your time. Increase the number of win rates. Increase sales ROI, and then decreasing the sales cycle time and the operations costs associated with that. And we do that through real-time win-loss predictability, key drivers of what a winning deal looks like, next best action for stage and for win, and the next best capability. And what's the deal gap analysis? So in our next vlog post, we'll talk about how implementing this on any CRMA will drive an increased sales and increased profitability. So thank you for taking time to learn about what a customer relations management platform is, the history, and then are we at an inflection point of $114 billion where the industry is going to say, I want AI and I want to be able to predict if this deal is going to win. And that is what DeLorean will deliver. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.